You guys are gonna lose me because I'm not gonna start doing this for two people.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome, guys, to our Empower Hour together on Monday night. This is where we come, we gather on Saturdays and we do our trainings on the roadmap to success, and we have great conversation there. Every single Saturday, there's new stuff being shared. So even though it's a roadmap to success for new distributors and for those of us who want to plug in and celebrate people who are new to our team, it's also a place to come together and get that new training. There's always something that bounces off of somebody or comes out of their mouth where you go, oh my gosh, that's so good for me in building my business. So it's great to see you guys plugging into there, but we also want to make sure we're plugging in on Monday nights. And I feel like I'm maybe one of the only Canadians here, and it's Thanksgiving here. So I know it's not Thanksgiving there. So just happy Thanksgiving to anybody in Canada that is watching this or on the replay. But we really want to be plugged in here. And this is kind of the place where a lot of times we'll take something that we took from Doug's call on Fridays or from the Saturday call, and we go a lot deeper, right? Like we really have that kind of mindset training or go deeper into tonight. We're talking about those 10 points that Paul talked on conversation. So these are like key points, key training. And this is really where the leadership comes into play that we have here, where you're getting like the downloads of everybody who joins, and everybody who's in here and really sharing what comes to you and what methods you're using that are working. And so we're excited for tonight. So we're covering these 10 points. On Saturday, Paul was talking about conversation and he gave us those 10 points. Hopefully you watched that and took those down. If you didn't, go back, watch the recording. It's in the group. But we're going to start covering them one by one as a group, as a collaborative here, and go through them and share what works for us and get some ideas on the things that maybe you're not so comfortable with, or ask the questions where you're not comfortable and say, hey guys, like this one, like maybe when Paul's talking or Peg is talking about active listening, you're going, I don't really get it. Like raise your hand and ask the questions. That's what this time is for. So we're going to start with number one, personalized greetings. And I really think that's crucial. I've shared before that, I was in network marketing for 8-9 years before COVID. Right. And so I had a method that worked. I could talk business. I could reach out. I could just, go straight for the business talk. And it was effective, especially on LinkedIn. Right. I am finding, I took a couple of years off to build traditional business, and coming back into network marketing now, total different world. It's a different conversation. It's a different way of reaching out to people. So many people have been bombarded, I think, with the online network marketing. Hey, do you need a side gig? Hey, what are you doing during COVID kind of thing? That it's a different conversation. So I think this personalized greeting is so crucial, because the old copy and paste scripts that used to work before don't work anymore. If I'm talking to Jordan, he doesn't want to hear the exact same, oh, hi, Jordan, so great to connect. Hey, are you interested? Is right now a good time for you for some extra additional income? I see that you're a personal trainer. Why don't you take a look? Like, that's not going to work. I need to take a look at Jordan's business, and I need to say, hey, I see this is what you're doing. I'm going to do it by voice message, right? And that really came from Paul for me on Saturday, where I do that on Facebook. I do that on Instagram, but for some reason on LinkedIn, I was missing that effective connection of voice. And so I'd reach out to him and I'd say, hey, I see you're doing this. Listen, this is kind of what I do with people in your field. If this is something that you're open to taking a look at, I'd love to hop on the phone, or I'd love to send you some information and then get on the phone with you and answer any questions. I really think this could be a good fit for you. But hearing my voice saying that is me being, I am a laid back person, right? I'm not a robotic person. I'm not scared to talk to people, but he's going to hear my voice. Whereas if I send just a regular copy and paste text, he's going to read that and maybe he'll respond. Maybe he'll give me the thumbs up. Maybe he'll just completely ignore me. And maybe it's the, 1% out of 100 where he actually responds to that and says, hey, Angel, yes, for sure. Let's talk. But hearing my voice and getting that personal greeting across is crucial. I also am a type of person where I don't like to fake it. So I'm not going to look at Nancy's profile and be like, hey, Nancy, so great to connect. Oh my gosh, I love the pictures of your family. I love, seeing you together on the weekends and that. So but I find that very fake, but I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? I took a look at your profile. I work with a lot of amazing women that I think you'd really get along with. Could we have a conversation? Could I share with you what we're doing? Can I show you, if you're open to taking a look at something, could we have a chat? Because I think you're perfect for what we're doing. I'm saying to her, hey, I see something in you that fits with what I'm doing, but I'm making it personalized, right? And I'm saying like, I don't know if it's for you or not. I don't want to be that pushy person, but I also want to come across with exactly what I'm looking for, because I personally don't build those kind of like fake, I'm stalking your profile kind of relationships, right? But making it personal and having your voice, really get comfortable with it. Send yourself a few voice messages. You've got the voice prompt on your phone. Do that. Like, just get comfortable with it. Say it over and over again until you say it in a way that you're just like, yes, I've got this. Like, I feel this confidence. Rev yourself up before you're leaving these messages, right? When you're about to do your prospecting, like, pump yourself up, do your declarations, do whatever it is for you that really gets you motivated. Listen to some music, be walking when you're talking, like, just have that energy and that effectiveness that's coming through in your messages, because people feel confidence and they feel energy, right? So if you're coming through nervous and, a little bit robotic, and hey, you're reading something off of your phone, wing it. Know what you need to say, have your key points, and like we say, have your bullet points of the things that you really want to touch on, but wing it. Just have a conversation, like as if I was calling up Peg and we're talking. That's how I should talk to her in Messenger as well, right? Like, hey, this is what I see in you. I have no idea if this is a fit for you or not, but let's have a conversation if it is, because I'd love to talk to you further on this. I think you do great here. I really think you'd excel. You can just have those conversations with people. Not everybody's going to respond in a positive way, but you're putting your energy forth. And I really know that positive energy in these conversations, in these initial first touches, are crucial, because somebody is going to make a decision in the first 10 seconds of either what they read or hear from you on whether or not they want to continue a conversation with you, right? So I'll let you guys chime in too, Paul, Peg, Jordan.
I'll chime in, Angel. I loved what you said about revving yourself up for that conversation. Doug talked about not too long ago the slight hesitation. If people hear that slight hesitation in your voice, that kind of like, and so I think I like to do exactly what you said. I like to walk when I'm talking, that forward movement, right? And just feeling like I'm going somewhere. Like I'm going somewhere. Love to have you come with me. I don't know, I'm not sure exactly how we're going to get there, but we're going, right? So, this is what we're doing. So I love that. I love leaving voice messages, and it 100% personalizes it. Like, you don't want to make a recording of your voice saying, "Hey girl," right? You want to say, "Hey Angel, I love what you're doing. Love that post about this. And I'd love to have a conversation with you. When do you have time to hop on a phone call?" Or, right? So yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Paul, I still think another thing you did that I liked was that you gave the take it away technique. Like, look, this may not be for you. So let people have that escape valve. Let people have that safety valve that they feel they can get out of it. And it's there. I think it's really, really valuable just to get to the next conversation, just to get to that next point where they feel, okay, this person's not going to put their arms around my throat. That's good. Okay. Are we moving on to the next one, or because we got a lot to cover? Okay. So we're going to talk about, I guess I'm going to cover real quick, ask open-ended questions, right? So you want to create conversation. You want to make it about them. I don't know why my thing is freaking out here. Hold on. So a couple of things that I see that people do all the time is that there are certain red flag conversations or questions that happen, and it really makes you want to almost vomit. It's something that have you ever had ways to supplement your current income and explore additional financial blah? It's just like, you've heard it a million times. If you get texts that make you cringe, don't cut and paste that text from someone. I love leaving a voicemail. Would you have time for additional income in your lifestyle? And like, oh, just a second chance to vomit. Because if you didn't vomit the first time, they say, would you like to have an extra income? It's just, they're expecting that. These are red flags. They're going to shut down the conversation really, really, really quickly. But how about like a question like, when you think of your long-term goals, any exciting ventures or experiences that if you had some financial flexibility or some time flexibility, would you do? What about fulfilling that dream or trying to discover the why and say, like, what's something you'd do if you'd have that time? I want to learn a little bit about you. So when you don't want to be that fake friend, but if you really want to get them to speak about something and find out what that is, and have your notebook open. You're gathering information on this person, and don't assume that you're going to close them on the first call. You need to invest a little bit of time. I said this on Saturday. I recruited 126 people in the first 5 months in my New You Life business. One is left. that one created the first phase of my success in the new life. So you're not looking for 126 people. You're looking for the 2 or 3 people who are going to make something happen. So when you say, well, Paul, I don't have a lot of time to get to know all of these people, you need to get to know 5 or 6, and then you're going to duplicate that to do the same. All right. In a perfect world, what does your life work balance look like? You know, and what do you think having more financial stability or flexibility would do for you that way? It's a way of asking about their financial condition without asking about their financial condition, right? So we want to know if they're passionate about what they do. We want to know what their financial condition is, because what if they didn't put away that money for retirement? Or in my case, why do I want to even touch my retirement money when I could live off of my New Year Life money, right? I call it positive cash flow retirement. But you can't say, hey, man, you know, what's your financial condition? They're going to shut down on you. But when you start talking about, you know, what would the work-life balance be? And they say something like, well, to be honest with you, I'm going for another 10 years because I lost my pension on my 401k in 2008. The market crashed. That's the information you need to know. Why? Most people, it takes them 20 years to build up some sort of a retirement plan. Many of us don't have another 20 years to invest just to make an extra $1,500 to $2,000 or $5,000 a month. A lot of people are looking at pensions that are giving them $2,000, $3,000, or Social Security that's going to give them $8,000. I think my mom gets like $1,800 a month. If she was living on her own, that's impossible. But imagine building a business that if it took you 3 to 5 years to get the 5, 6, 7, 10,000 a month, or like many of us in 5 figures a month, right? That's something that you can really, really do. Imagine finding someone that really, really needs it, needs $10,000 to $15,000 a month to actively retire or to maintain their current lifestyle to retire. Where are you going to be able to do that? If you took $1 million and invested it, if you even had it, and put it into an interest-bearing account, you're probably looking at $30,000 to $60,000 a year, depending on how well you invested. That's without taking any of that $1 million out. So is that enough? And do you have the $1 million to put into an account somewhere to give you $30,000 to $60,000 a year in income? No, you'd probably start digging into that $1 million, and then all of a sudden you have this hourglass situation where the sand is starting to run out. So really, when we're having conversations with people about their financial condition, you have to understand that really, and many of you listening to this call need to understand, this is probably the only way for many people to seriously get serious about network marketing, because I'm telling you guys, I'm proof that it's really positive. It's possible. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one, but you got to get open-ended questions. You look about the what, the how, the why, and make notes from these people and get them to talk. Stop talking about the fucking gel and the ingredients and all this other stuff, and start talking about them and finding out what's going on. Next thing we're going to do is active listening. Okay, so active listening is critical because you need to be able to keep the conversation going. So I'm going to do a little exercise with Peg, if you don't mind. And I just really want to ask you about the dog. And I'm serious about this. And the reason I chose you and the reason I chose the dog is that we were having this conversation daily, and then the conversation kind of fell off a little bit. I didn't hear anything about it. So really, honestly, pretend there's no one else on this call and tell me what's going on with the dog. What's the latest?
Well, thankfully he is doing better. And I know when we started talking about this, my heart was breaking. Like I was really having a hard time because my 3-year-old sweet baby was really going down fast. And so yeah, he's doing a lot better. He is acting like he's 12 and he's only 3. So whatever he's been through, we really don't have a firm diagnosis, but he's it took a lot out of him. But he seems to be turning a corner.
So even to this stage, you don't have any kind of a firm diagnosis,
It's some sort of autoimmune disease. And I know you not hearing from me about him recently, maybe you didn't want to ask because maybe you thought
it was bad news.
But trust me, you would have heard if he was gone.
I'm sure I would have heard. I would have probably heard you cry from here because
Yeah.
I went through that with my dog. It was absolutely heartbreaking. So guys, what we covered already is I just kind of commented on when she said she didn't get a diagnosis, right? So that's a little bit of an aha moment, and it's engaging me with the conversation with her to say that I heard you. I heard what you said. right? So I don't want to go too long with this because we have so much to get to, but when you're actively listening, you have to respond and let them know that you heard what they said. The more they hear, right away, she went into the next thing about autoimmune, right? So we went deeper into that conversation. The same thing can happen with their retirement issues. The same thing because they'll talk more once they feel like they're being heard. All right. So, what about some of the nonverbal cues, right? So I leaned in a little bit when she was talking about it. I kind of felt a little bit of her emotion. So do a little bit of that mirroring, especially when you're on some sort of a Zoom where you're face to face with someone, or just saying something, oh gosh, and let them hear that emotional response from you. These nonverbal cues, or in a phone call, these subtle cues are important because it lets the other person know that you're still engaged and you're not just making them go through the motions. And by the way, if you're not really engaged and you don't care, hang up the phone because this is not the business for you. This is not the business for you if you're not going to spend a little bit of time with someone and get to know them. Because if this person thinks they're going to make serious money with you and you don't even know that their dog is sick, they're just never going to engage. They're just absolutely never going to engage. Okay, so that's active listening, really quick.
Can I just add to that, Paul? You also
said, sure. That we're going to open up. I'm gonna.
You also acknowledged that you had been through that too. So you said, I know how hard that can be. I've been through that too. And when we were talking about it, you also told me a little story about how hard it was with your dog. So totally, Sydney, yeah. I mean, that was very active listening and engaging.
Yeah, and then relatable too, right? That we're all okay. There's some similarities here. So just when you're doing that, Angel brought it up earlier too when she talked about just don't fake it and just do that phony friendship stuff. But have you ever heard, Peg? You've heard me on a million calls where all of a sudden there's this relatability, right, that I can have with somebody because I'm actively looking for it. I'm not looking to say what my next pitch is going to be or that next line or the next cliche. I'm really looking to connect with this person on some level, right? Right. Worst case scenario. Do you like hot dogs? No, I hate hot dogs. Well, I love hot dogs, but I know they're really bad for me. Right. So think about this. I asked, do you love hot dogs? I love hot dogs. Right. I know hot dogs are really bad for me. So even though I'm on the opposite side of that political spectrum of loving hot dogs or hating hot dogs, right? I could still relate to them by saying, I know, and they're so bad for me, and I get it, but I can't. So now there's some relatability there, right? So worst case scenario, go to the hot dog conversation, right? Okay. Anybody else got a comment on active listening or the other one? Ask open-ended questions.
Hey, Paul, let me say, can I say something real quick? Hey, first I want to say it's a happy Indigenous Peoples Day, and that might be why there's not that many people because some people might be spending the holiday, but I'm here, so that's all that matters.
Well, we appreciate you and your heritage to come on the call. So
there you go. But the open-ended questions thing, that something that reminded me, when I'm talking to people and actually even talking about, either the comp plan or the just business overall or product, I'm never asking them what did they think about what I sent to them or whatever I talked. I always ask them, what did they like best about the comp plan? What did they like best about the product? What do they like best about the business? Because as soon as you just say, what did you think about what I sent you, you're going to be on there for an hour and a half listening because they'll always find something that they didn't like. But if you ask it in a positive ways, what did you like best about what I sent you? It doesn't leave it open-ended where it's going to be, an hour and a half long where they're kind of breaking you down because, maybe they've heard things from other people about the industry or about the product or whatever. Don't open up that door for them. Always just say, ask it in a positive, what they like, the positive point about the business plan or the comp or the company or the product. And then the other thing with the listening, this business is not going to happen overnight. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. So some people might be trying to crush and make that connection on that first call, and they might not have talked to some of these people in like 6 months. It might take 3 or 4 conversations with them before they're really trusting that you have a vested interest in what's happening in their life. And you're really looking out for them. You want them to be a part of your business because believe me, if there was anything, you don't want to get into business with someone that you don't want to be around or someone you don't like or you don't know, Because I mean, here all of a sudden you're going to convention or a regional or something, and all of a sudden you're finding out, you know what, I really don't like this person. You know, why do I want to have them in my business or in my organization or something? But it might take, 3 or 4, it might take a month worth of touching base with this person once a week. Because like I said, if you haven't talked to them for 6 months and now all of a sudden you're calling them, twice a day or every day, they're going to know something's up. So it's got to be a casual thing like, hey, I was thinking about you, that's why I'm giving you a call. And then maybe a week later, so like I said, it might take a month, it might take 2 months, for that, but that
Well,
that
Tony, I
relationship.
think I honestly think that's a good point. I think a lot of people miss it. And the reason they miss it is because you feel that there's got to be this resolution to a call. I call it plate spinning, right? You got to keep a lot of, or ball, like if you're juggling. If you juggle one ball, it's really boring. When you go to a show and you see a guy and he's playing the piano with the juggling balls and he's got 50 in the air at one time, that's what their business is. So your conversations have to be that way. And you may not come around. Like if you see a guy, I saw this guy juggle one time and he had a white ball and like 50 black balls. And he had this whole thing. He's bouncing, they're bouncing going across. And he had this whole thing with trampolines and he had this whole routine going. And the way you could tell is when you saw the white ball that was going in, when it came around again, you really realized how many he was juggling, right? You need to do the same thing with your business, right? When you're building your business, you have to have so many balls in the air so that when you're waiting for that next white ball to come around, you must do that. If you're trying to hatch one egg at a time, you will never build this business. If you're worried about following up with someone too often, not when you have 50 people to work on at one given time. You're not building your pipeline, okay? Jordan, any comment on that? And I don't know who's next, by the way.
No, I love that. It's so true. I mean, I can think of, I used to do this too, where it's like I'd have 3 or 4 people that I was excited about, and 3 months later it'd be the same 3 or 4 people that I was excited about that I knew was eventually going to join. I just couldn't wait.
Right.
And how could I get it? It's like, no, you have to do enough. And what's funny is when you have a big enough of a pipeline and you don't need that person to join. In fact, you're not even so incredibly excited about them because you have so much other stuff going on. Then they're more likely to join, because it is an energy business. It's like, if you're confident and you're strong in your belief in what you're doing, and you know that you have something great and you're clear with people. I also too, I don't want to like go against what you're saying, Tony, but I think there's 2 sides of that coin. One is absolutely take the time to build a relationship. And when you see someone come on board and sign up many people quickly, it's not because they're doing some magic script. It's because they built relationship equity before they joined the business.
Correct.
So when you go in and tap these people, they can move it quickly. If you don't have that, then yeah, you take the time. It don't mean such a rush to close. And I feel like, especially in this post-COVID era, people, their BS meter is super sharp. So like, genuinely care about people rather than just being like, hey, how you doing? How's your kids? But anyway, I got to tell you about this gel. Like, don't be in such a rush to like do your pitch. Like, take the time to actually fill people out, like you were saying, Tony. Like, build that relationship. And when you do that, and then you do it with enough people, then you never run out of people that you have in your pipeline that are ready to go.
Yeah. Can I say one thing? Because that I want to comment on that, because what I'm dealing with right now is, and with coaching a lot of people, is just a lot of people don't have that big pipeline of people. So I'm talking about people who are trying to, who don't have 100 people that, they had from a different organization. So when you're trying to build that, it might, it might take a little while, because people who've been in the industry for a while, they have a pool of people, that trust them, that they have relationships with, that are going to go, hey, I believe in what you're doing. I believe in you. I trust you. And they're going to come in without as much work. But when you have some people that we have with the company, this is their first gig at doing MLM or direct sales, so they have to really, I think they have to spend a little bit more time. Don't think that just because it didn't happen in the first, week of talking to people, that they didn't close or join, because it's new. It's new. It's not like you've been in this industry for, 5 years or 6 years. So it might take, you have to let it grow organically, but like I said, if you have like people coming in that have organizations from other things, it's going to be a little bit easier. So don't judge your business, against somebody who's been in the industry and coming in with a larger pool of people.
And
I mean,
guys,
you have
to both your points, I'm going to tell you right now, I think the warm market for new people is the absolute worst market. I think the biggest market out there is the cold market, people who are looking, people who you can find with social media. It's much easier to find who's my boss babe, who's interested in an entrepreneurial journey than trying to get your next door neighbor to finally take a look at the business because you joined some MLM. I want to introduce Mark Shays. Mark Shays is a great trainer, industry guy. I know his dad was in MLM for a long time, and he's just joined us too. And I think he's going to be a great asset. Mark, it's great to see you on here. I don't know if you have a couple of points on what you heard so far. We covered a couple of ideas of the 10 points of active conversation, because let me just preface you into what we're training on so you could, and I know you'll pick up on it. No one here is effectively communicating. They're scripting, they're blasting, they're puking on people instead of trying to develop an actual conversation with someone, because they're trying to tell this person, hey, you and I together are going to make millions of dollars, but by the way, here's a script. So it's up to you. Thanks, Mark.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Well, that's fun. So I used to do the exact same thing. Oh my God, I got involved in like 4 different network marketing companies, and every leader at those companies would pull me aside and tell me that I was super likable and had all the charisma and the temperament and everything else, and I just had very little success. I was like trained by my father, who seemed to scare everybody away. And he's super personable. He had success in other businesses, but it took me years to kind of learn that there's like a process of building trust, right? That's all it is. We're building trust first, right? And the same process that you go through in sales is the exact same process you go through in every relationship you ever build. And I didn't realize this. And then when I was taught that concept of, the 4 reasons people won't buy something, right? I don't know if you guys have heard this. I'm sure you have. There's the no trust, no need, no help, no hurry, right? That's it, the 4 things. And they have to go in that order, right? And so I was like, I was very lucky. I had a mentor who was a master salesperson. This guy he was the 3rd highest seller of what do you call them? The vacation rental things that nobody wants to do, right? You win this free trip to timeshares, right?
Timeshares. Oh my God, really? It's like the used car salesman of real estate.
Yeah, right. And you tell your wife, you're like, we are going in for 90 minutes, and then we get our tickets to Disney. Do not say anything. We have to leave. And these people come like wearing boxing gloves, ready to not buy, like they are prepared not to buy. And he closed something like 32%. It was like a thing, right? And he, of course, they use a lot of tactics. They're very manipulative because they have to do it quickly. But the same process is always the same. You have to build trust. And if it takes you 3 phone conversations to build trust, you don't move on to the next part of the conversation until trust is built. That's it, right? If trust is built immediately because maybe they saw you on a stage speaking, or maybe somebody had already edified you, or maybe they admire you, or maybe they know you from somewhere, or maybe you've already delivered something in another way of their life, trust is already there. You can immediately start having that more connected conversation, but you can't do it until you get to the next piece. I was so fortunate to sit and listen to sales conversations, and then he would break them down like a chess match afterwards and say, right, did you notice where do you think I shifted from having enough trust? By the way, and I would say things like, wow, how the heck did you know that you brought up this thing about your son going to the same school as he did. And he said, yeah, I went to his LinkedIn. I checked out a bunch of stuff. I figured out a really subtle way. I didn't say, hey, by the way, I saw your LinkedIn and I noticed that you went to this school. My son goes there. Instead, he'd say, let me tell you something. My son, when he was at school at such and such, blah, 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 blah. Oh, wow, that's where I went to school. It was like even a more sophisticated way of building commonality, right? But again, it's building commonality. It's building connection. It's building credibility by asking questions, right? And so what I do is I ask 90% of what comes out of my mouth are questions. And I say, that's amazing. Tell me more. Tell me more. And when I get to the part where I'm talking about need, you know, again, it's questions, and I'm not even necessarily, the first few questions are broad enough that they'll tell me what's on their mind. They'll tell me what's important to them, right? I might say something like, wow, you know, a great example, I'll just give you a quick one. My sister works in a restaurant. She was having a conversation with somebody who obviously has seen that she's been building a New Life business successfully. She's starting to radiate. She's got confidence. And this woman came over and said, hey, I wanted to talk to you when you get a chance. And she said, sure. What's it about? She said, well, I overheard, and it just sounds like you're up to really good stuff. We can take my number and then whatever. And so my sister called me afterwards and said, what do I say to this lady? And I said, well, do you know who she is? And she said, not really. I know she goes to my restaurant a lot. I said, well, how about the first thing is, thank you so much for reaching out. Tell me about yourself. Right? Just start. Like, tell me about yourself. Like, why did you want to connect? Right? And she's like, oh, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, yeah, you don't, like, just get to know her, right? When it turns out the woman is a TA, she's in her 60s. She's worried that if COVID comes back, she might lose her income. She has health issues. Like, as she got to know her, she realized, oh, the product would be great for her. A second form of income would be great for her, et cetera, et cetera. And then she got to ask questions that took it deeper. After she, again, had built trust, right? She talked about her kids, and then she said, well, I'm a mother of 2 children, and blah, 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 the whole process, right? But then she said, wow, you know, it's great to lean into something. So if somebody says, I'm worried about, you know, if COVID comes, I might lose my job. Yeah, that would be really tough. What kind of, right now, what's your financial situation look like? Well, you know, we're basically just getting by. We're just paying bills, that kind of thing, right? Wow, what would happen if you lost your job? And she let her sit in it for a minute. She'd be like, well, I'd be like, financially, I don't know what I would do. You know, and she, like, again, let her feel the pain. She kind of like sat in it and said, wow, well, what would life look like if you did have more security? Like, let's say you didn't lose your job, but you actually could have another form of income. What would an extra $1,000 a month feel like? What could that do for your life? Oh my gosh, I'd be able to, after 3 months, be able to take my kids on a vacation. When was the last time you took a vacation? You know, oh my gosh, we haven't been in like 5 years. And by the
Mark,
way,
I want to interrupt you for a second because I didn't hear gel, New You Life, you know, hormones, HG. I haven't heard any of that. And we got a super engaging conversation. But go ahead. I didn't want to, you know, but it was important because we used to have this thing here that everybody thought the greatest thing was, have you heard about the gel yet? When I heard that, when I was first building here, I thought it was the worst possible thing we could have ever done. Okay, the worst possible thing. But keep going, Mark. I'm gonna, you know. Wait, before you go, I just want to introduce 2 major MLM celebrities. Danny Liccardi is here, major multi-generational top earner, Danny Liccardi, and Izzy Matz. Izzy is here. Izzy's the master distributor of STEM Tech, a dear friend of mine. Probably, he's an industry legend. Izzy, how are you, buddy? I don't know if you're able to share tonight, but Danny and Izzy, what we're talking about is effective conversation. Hey, brother, effective conversation and how important real, true, effective conversation is. So, guys, 2 more legends. You know, and I really appreciate you guys accepting the invite. Mark, keep going. I hate to do it, but I had to just introduce these guys. Now, Mark's a beast, guys, by the way.
Not at all. Thank you. So, you know, so you notice the process, though. The process is just simply that and by the way, by allowing them to talk about, and, you know, you're actually giving them a gift of being able to be vulnerable and feel safe, right? And so by saying, well, what would that be like? Yeah, that would be really tough. You know, as a single mom, I've also struggled and blah, 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 blah. As a matter of fact, you're creating this bond of trust and connection and relatability and all of these things, right? You're just allowing the other person to feel heard, right? And the whole point in any kind of a sales, in any kind of a relationship, is to allow the other person to see you and to be vulnerable and to feel safe in your presence. And like, people need to feel safe to even move forward, right? I brought this up at a training recently where I was talking about, you know, you guys, do you understand how rare it would be for you to reach out to a friend that you haven't talked to in ages and get them to join a business on the same day in the same call, like lower the bar a little bit. Like that's not realistic. It's like that's somebody who really has got a lot of free time and a massive need, and I get it. But like also, it's okay to reconnect with that person from high school you haven't spoken to in 18 years, and maybe take more than one phone call to get there, right? Especially if they're going to make a light mistake, you know. So anyway, the last piece I was going to say is just simply like what I've noticed is that there's a shift between you build trust with 90% questions. You then go to the help, right? I'm sorry, the need part, right? What kind of needs do they have? And when you get to the help part, there tends to be this shift that people make. It's a mistake. Oh, now I get to talk about the gel. Now I get to talk about the business. And they shift mode from questions to some kind of a pre-planned conversation, and they start pitching them. Don't do that. Stay in the questions, right? So you can still say, you know what, are you open to me just telling you a little experience, you know? Boom. My sister, but whatever it is. But keep it short and sweet, and then go back to another question to relate it back
almost
to that.
you go into almost a testimonial versus a product pitch or some sort of a need, or try to identify their pain, you know, or try to identify their need. One thing I want to do before we get too far, you talked about the timeshare guy, and one of the pushback that I get from a lot of people when I'm coaching them is like, oh yeah, but that guy's going to make $5,000 for selling that timeshare, or he's going to make $10,000. And what we tend to miss in network marketing is being a seven-figure earner, right? Isn't that potential? If you were my upline and you sponsored me and you getting 15% check match on me, isn't that the same? So I think one of the things that new network marketing people miss is that, well, I'm not going to spend all that time with this person because, you know, just to sell them a bottle of gel. No, the potential to recruit a 6- and 7-figure earner and what that means to you is greater than this guy making 10 grand on timeshare. Way, way greater than that. So I really appreciate that, because that's one of you kind of helped me lay that out for people to say, guys, stop thinking small. And the other thing is, when you do close somebody on the first call, right, you're really recruiting a customer at best. And that's why this industry has an average of 30, 60, or 90-day runs with people, and you're constantly turning over. You know, when Eric Worre said he rebuilt his organization 7 times, I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. There's no way. Maybe 3 times I'll do it. I'm on my second rebuild, but there's no way I'm doing it 7 times, because you got to learn on your first, third, fourth, or fifth rebuild what the hell you're doing wrong. Mark, thank you. I want to move on a little bit because we're only on the third point, and I wanted to introduce. I wanted to let Izzy and Danny comment a little bit because I don't know what their time is like. Izzy, do you want to go? We're talking about effective communication, conversations, real conversations, not some script about, yes, have you heard about our latest product? And it's an amazing opportunity for you, and you can. What's your thoughts on that, Izzy? And thank you so much. I love you, brother, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I would do anything in the world for you, my friend. You're the best gift network marketing has given me outside of what I do. I love you like a brother.
Me too.
I agree wholeheartedly with everything that Mark was saying. 90% of the conversation isn't conversation, it's interrogation. You really need to know the person you're talking to. I had a conversation last night. You know the book, and I've been talking about it, The Greatest Network in the World, right? You know the book. Well, last night, I had an hour-long conversation with the individual that was written about. And I got to tell you, it was as enlightening talking to him as it was reading the book. And he made a point. He said, we don't need more contacts. We need more connection. And people don't talk to each other to connect. They talk to each other to respond to each other. And that's a huge mistake. And networkers make that all the time. People will say something, and we listen only to respond. Mark nailed it. Our commitment in network marketing is to make an effective change in an individual. And if you don't know who that individual is, if you don't know what their background is, if you don't know what their present is, and if you don't know what their future is going to be, your product is irrelevant because you don't know what need you're filling. You've got to understand them. And then that takes you to the next level. Once you do understand them and you have them in, then the conversation has to be about their wants, their hopes, and their dreams. You're right. It's not about your $10,000 check. It's about fixing what's wrong with them or what they perceive to be lacking. And you only find that out by talking. You and I do that all the time. When we get on a phone call, it's not about business. We never talk about our companies. It's where are we at? Let's exchange some thoughts. And in that moment, reality pops in and we come to some pretty interesting conclusions. We don't do that as a whole in our businesses. It's a mistake.
We don't. You know more about my prostate than most people, so I really appreciate that, Izzy.
Yeah, I got to comment on something. You're looking very bumpy these days. I'd be careful if I were you.
I'm doing my thing, man. Danny, thank you so much for coming in, man. I haven't seen you in a while. I know we were together in Florida, and I know you're building like crazy, but thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Oh, I saw on Facebook that you were doing your Power Hour, and I've always wanted to get on. The first thing I did is I saw you had a 30-minute countdown. I looked up, see what time you posted, and I go, shoot, I can get on there. I always, like Izzy said, I always love to get on here and listen to what you had to say. I can say this, if I wasn't in this company, and I would love to have Paul as my upline business partner, just because of the few times we've been together. Just, your knowledge of just life itself is great. And I can tell you this, I'm a little upset because every morning I get up, everybody does something in the morning after I get my thing. Like I kind of go on Facebook, I'm going through my wall and I see you working out every morning. And I'm really upset because I've been telling myself I need to get my butt in the gym, and it's not too far from my front door. So, but listening to what Mark was saying and Izzy was saying, I think kind of the subject you're on, I think the biggest thing we do, or we try not to do, but it's how it is, all we think about, we look at somebody and think about how can they help build my business? And that's where why the conversation gets started. Instead of looking at somebody and go, how can I change their life? By what I have to offer them. I think, listen, we're all in this for the money. If somebody says it's not about the money, they're lying to you, or they've never had it, and I get it. I totally get it. I've been doing this since 1995. Yes, I'm old. I've been around a lot of different companies. I've had really good success, and sometimes I haven't had a success I wanted. But I try every time I'm with a company, every time I speak to somebody, is I try to look at them and how can I help them? Because if you can't help them, it's not going to be any good for you. I mean, there's 7 reasons, and I'll get to this really quick, why I'm involved in this industry. And the last one is probably, I feel, one of the most important one. But first off, the career I will create. People don't understand that this is a lifestyle change, just not an everyday job. It's a career that you can get involved in. The second one is the freedom I will enjoy by helping others enjoy their freedom. The third thing is the lives I will touch. And that one's very important to me because, I've been in different types of industries outside of network marketing, whether it's mortgage and real estate, the auto industry. And every time I made money, it's because I affected myself, not really somebody else. The people I will meet, meeting Paul, I've never met Angel personally, but we've chatted. I see it first time, Mark, ever seeing you, hearing you speak. I appreciate what you had to say. That's really important. The people you're going to meet, the places I will see. Listen, I got to go to Florida and New Jersey and see Paul both times. All right. I see you going to Asia and you were in Hong Kong.
And you paid for lunch too. You paid for lunch. When we ate in Jersey, you paid for lunch. So I definitely still owe you, brother, but go ahead.
But, seeing you in Hong Kong, that's one of my favorite places to travel. If you haven't, if you don't understand what this business, it can do to you as far as that, and the causes I will contribute to. Everybody, you have to have a cause, what you're going to do with your money. If it's all about putting money in your pocket, you know what? I'm not going to say you're not going to succeed, and I'm not going to get biblical on you, but God will know when he's ready to allow you to succeed. He knows what's in your mind. And the last one is who I'll become in this process. I have become a better person. Is it because of the industry? No, it's because of people like Paul, people that I'm around and I see in this, just how you see people act. It's one of the most amazing things about this industry is, who you're going to become in the process. I truly believe money will make somebody who's good better and somebody a worse person.
Absolutely.
That's totally up to you. But again, if you look at somebody and you talk to them, I try to speak to a minimum of 3 people a day to share what's going on in my life. It might not even get to the point of, hey, this is what I'm doing. You want to check it out? You know, it's a conversation that you got to have with somebody. You got to take the focus off of you. You got to be a servant and serve others. And Jim Rohn said the best. The more people you help get what they want, guess what? You're going to get what you want. So there's my 3, 4, 5 minutes. I don't know how long I could keep talking, but I appreciate
Danny, you can go all night as far as I'm concerned. Guys, I mean, these guys are absolute legends in the industry. I'm honored, I'm flattered that they'll even, I mean, I'm just doing this for 5 years, guys. And these guys have been nothing but a support and help to me. And for them to come on our call, you know, Angel, I'd like to hear from you because you know these. Yeah, Izzy, go ahead.
Paul, real quick.
I gotta make a comment.
It's an honor to be here with you, man, and your people.
Thank you. I love you too, brother. I love you too.
Danny, I want to pick up on that for a second. And I want to address this to you, Paul, but really to the organization you've got. You just said something. I've been in this industry 5 years. I'm just posting on Facebook the fact that people in this industry fail to do one thing. They fail to get started. They look for the next successful funnel or the right phrase or the right tool or the right moment, and they never engage. You set an example that few people that I've met in my 40 years have done. You came into the industry, you learned the basics, and you worked with those, and you mastered those, and you learned from the people around you. Guys, Danny is right. If I weren't master distributor of my company, I would be in this company, frontline to Paul Capozio, because he walks the walk that he talks. You are amazing, my friend, and right back at you. Just like Danny said, I'm incredibly proud that we crossed paths. People really need to listen to what you've got to say because you are just amazing. You're really good. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, brother. I love to hear that. And it just gives me the motivation to try to do better. But when you hear guys like Mark and Angel and everybody, I mean, it's just what we're kind of building here is just this network of just people that can really get it done. And I think people are frustrated. I think people are looking for something. They're looking for stability. They're looking for support. And they're looking to end the bullshit. Hold on. Charlene said, Danny, I'd love this, the list of 7 you shared. So look, I knew when you came on here, if you want to just go through that slowly so people can write it down, that list of 7.
I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. All right. Very cool.
I'll put
See,
it in
Danny is a much better speller than me. I would verbally say it. I would just probably mistype the whole damn thing. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to everybody else because we totally blew it. We were supposed to get through 10 points. I think we got through 3. We're supposed to be a compliment sincerely. Oh, no, I want to get to Jordan, though, so we're going to jump ahead. Angel, I want to hear from you. And then, Jordan, you're doing curious and inquisitive and empathy and understanding?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Paul, can we start with empathy? Because I think Jess was going to take that.
Okay, that's fine. I just real quick, Angel, what is your thoughts on these guys? And also, out of all, I'm going to tell you this: out of all the testosterone and all the macho with Izzy and Danny, and I would join Paul, you actually did. You had what, and you said, you know what, this guy's an idiot, but I'm going to go run with him anyway.
I'm pretty sure that's not what I said at all. I was like, you know what? I already admire this guy and want to work with him. And I totally like echo.
Don't make it about me. I want you to hear what you,
you know, but I echo them for sure. But I love like hearing Danny and having Danny come on. This is the power of conversation and connections and network marketing. Like we're talking about now, probably a 4-year connection, right, Danny, where, you know, we've witnessed you lose parents, like we've done prayers together. We've had conversations. We know lives together. You know, like it doesn't matter if you're in the same company or not. You build relationships with people, and I think that's the core of what we're doing here. You know, it doesn't matter if you're in New Life or not. You're here and you're pouring into our team because that's just who you are as a network marketer, but as a person. And that's really like the core of who the people are here right now. And so we've got this blessing. And so I loved when I was writing down the points that you were making. When I was coming into tonight, my main note that I made about tonight is what is the conversation with yourself that you're having? Like before we even talk about how you're conversing with other people and connecting with them, what is your conversation with yourself? And so I think your 7 points speak to that so well, because it's really, who are you? What are you here for? What are the lives you're going to touch? What is the freedom you're creating? Like all of that. And so that was just brilliant, Danny. And so I love that we can have Danny and Izzy come into this call, and it just shows what we're doing. And Danny, you'll have to come into the noon Zoom with Dr. Doug. We do that on Fridays. You'll have to come over there, because also everything that you spoke today, last week, we did just an extra on one of Doug's things. He did $5 million questions to ask yourself. So everything you just said actually really pours into that whole conversation as well. So I'm just so glad that God put you here tonight, because it's huge. And this just shows it's not about just recruiting somebody into your business, making these connections, these friendships, these places where you can borrow from each other and pour into each other and just have a friendship and support each other and be like, hey, this is what's working for us. What are you guys doing? All of that, that's this industry as a whole. And so I think this whole conversation just has really just put that into a light for people, that even if you're right at the very beginning or you're starting over, and no matter what, this is what is ahead, right? Growing the business is almost just a benefit to the relationships that we make and the conversations we have. So I love you guys, and I think tonight was awesome. So I'll pass it over to Jordan for him to get going on.
Jordan, so we're going to go to 7, right? We have at least 10 points. We're going to go to 7 because I think it's important, expressing empathy and understanding. So Jordan, love to hear from you, brother. Another great trainer, by the way. You're muted.
There you go. Thanks, Paul. So on expressing empathy and understanding, I'm going to go over to Jess. Jess, would you unmute yourself? She does this a lot with the people on this team. It's just one of her strengths. I thought if she could share and explain that, that'd be fantastic. Jess, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. This has been an amazing Zoom, and I just keep nodding my head to both everything that Izzy and Danny have said. And they're, just thinking about what I was going to say with empathy, with the active listening. I think empathy is just one step deeper. It's, that the deeper you can get with somebody, you are going to be able to build a stronger connection and build the trust. Then it also gives them support to not feel alone. And if you give that to them, they're going to give that to you. It's something that you can bounce off of each other. And I think it was Izzy was kind of explaining it really well, but more like 3 points of showing compassion, recognizing, and being caring. And so when you show compassion to somebody, it's just, I'm sorry, I understand, just expressing some sort of compassion for them, because we all go through different things, but we all have the same feelings. We all have those, 5 core feelings that we have. And so those make it relatable. I had a client, her dad passed away the other day, and my father has never passed away, but I know what it feels like to be sad. So just offering that caring support for them. What can I do for you? How can I help? Like they both said, asking all the questions and, just having them pour more out. And I love that. I forget who it said, tell me more, because if you don't know what else to say or how to offer any support, it's just tell me more. And I'm sorry, like little words go a long way. And, also recognizing their feelings. They might not even know what they're feeling. They, might be so angry, but they can't name that feeling. So name that feeling for them. It sounds like you are really angry. It sounds like you are really frustrated. And, it will go deeper, and it's like you are understanding them. It's going to break those barriers, and you're going to be able to just dig even deeper. And every time we talk about relationships, I always go back to Gottman. Gottman is a famous author, and he is also a relationship expert. I love his books on building relationships, but he also has a really good app called Deck of Cards. And Deck of Cards gives examples of open-ended questions that you can ask people. So even if you are not face-to-face with them, you can pop open an app and you can, get examples from the app. So that is my tidbit on empathy.
Very good, Jess. We love hearing from you, though. I'm so glad that Jordan passed it off to you. Listen, guys, we got 4 minutes left. We have Gel and Tell, and I know Mark Shays is going to be on there. So, Mark, I don't know if you got to jump, but I really want to thank you, and I look forward to you being here every week, adding to Empower Hour. Jordan, I'm so glad you and your team are coming on board. I think we have something great here, and it's getting better and better and better that we could all coach and train each other. Before the rest of you leave, I'll be up at Curtis's house with Lauren. We're doing on Thursday night, We're going to be doing a training and an opportunity presentation up there in the Boston area, East Bridgewater, correct? East Bridgewater or East Bridgewater. So I'm actually going to be staying at the hotel I used to stay at when I had my staffing company up in Brockton. So it's like old home week for me. Can somebody let those co-hosts, let some people in that are in, some new people just came in, if you want to let them in. So Curtis, I will see you guys. I told you don't do lobster rolls, but now since you committed, I can't wait to have a lobster roll when I'm up there. So if you're in the Boston area or you have anybody on your team that either wants to take a look at the opportunity or wants to get trained a little bit, we're going to be up there, 3:30 on Thursday, the 12th. And then, we should be there until about 7, 8 o'clock. And then the alcohol will start. But all right, guys, what do we want to go to now? We got another couple of minutes left. Before Jill and Tell. We can go long if you like, because this has been a really powerful call. Lynn, you're mouthing something. Skoda, you're mouthing something. What are you mouthing? What are you trying to tell me? She unmutes and she's still muted. Oh, okay. All right. We have no idea what the hell you're saying.
From Jordan, didn't we?
So Jordan, do you either want to comment a little bit on what Jess had said, or because we're going to have to do this again next Monday.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Well, first of all, Mark, and best of luck on the Gel and Tell, and also Jody, you as well. We're excited about you. We'll be cheering.
Jody's here.
Yeah.
Jody, I'm sorry.
Jody,
How are you? Where are you? I can't. I got to find you. Hey, Jody, I see you there. Hi. Hi there. Hi. Sorry, Jordan.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. So I would just say I talked about this last week a little bit, which is every time that when you're building this business, you have to be willing to go through adversity. And if you're willing to go through it and the difficulties, and you're willing to learn and you're willing to grow, and that doesn't knock you off, then you can have a lot of success here. And I used to get really excited when I would see someone come on board and they would sign up 4 and 5 and 8 and 10 people quickly. But anymore, that doesn't get me excited. What gets me excited about someone is if they come on board and a week or a month or 3 months down the road, they hit that initial bump of adversity where some people quit or they have like a string of no's or something happens and they feel discouraged, but they continue to keep pushing forward. And I think that's the thing that just keeps that, like, when you see people do that, those are the people that you want to invest in and pour your time and energy into. In terms of the 10 points, I think mine was curiosity, I think. And with that's the same thing. Like, be genuinely curious when you're talking to someone. Don't just have your little scripts of things. How are your kids? How's your family? Where are you from? Great. Let me tell you about my product. Like I mentioned earlier, it's like really like express genuine curiosity, be empathetic, as Jess was talking about, because when you do these things, then you build such a strong, that relationship, trust, and credibility. And when you have that, you can't really mess it up. You can't really rest it. It doesn't matter what you say when you have enough trust and relationship credibility, because even if you say the wrong thing, people know that you have the right intention because they trust you. So just as everyone was saying tonight, have the conversations. Paul, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I love the fact that we're teaching and coaching on how to develop these skills. That it's not the old days of just relying on a tool or a video. It's like, no, it's like, let's learn how to have conversations, because that is where the power lies. As we get effective in having conversations, there's no stopping to how big we can grow this thing.
Powerful, powerful. Okay, who wants to take us out, Peg Tucker? Look, here again with the sign language. You and Skoda tonight. What the hell?
I just want to say, the next topic was give a sincere compliment, and all of the people on this call are just as Jordan said, we've got that social, everyone has that social equity, right? Of be that person who gives those compliments, to hear you praise Paul by Izzy and by Danny and Mark and it's being that person, that's that successful person, right? So, learn from these guys. It's so amazing that you guys were on. I really, really appreciate you being here. Danny, I had written down all those 7 points on another call somewhere along the way. So I love those. And everybody get your entire team on next Monday. And also on Wednesday, we will be doing an opportunity call. We're going back to doing a Zoom. So invite to that. We'll put it in the Empower Hour group, and let's do this, you guys.
I want to talk about that, Peg. So Wednesday, Michelle is really going towards, is Michelle still with us or did she go on to, yeah, Michelle's down there. So she's going after personal trainers and the fitness industry. So I'm going to do every Wednesday so she can invite into this opportunity call. So it's a challenge for her to fill people on this call, and I'll do the business opportunity directed specifically for health and wellness professionals that are personal trainers, chiropractors. I'll do the doctor pitch, how to create and increase value to a personal trainer, how to increase the profitability per individual clients that they have, or a chiropractor individual patient profitability just by adding product to the mix. Okay. Izzy or Danny, any final words of wisdom? Nothing about me, just any final words of wisdom. You know,
Yeah.
unless you want
No bromance?
Hey, real quick.
we do have a bromance. Go ahead.
Give me 10 seconds. Because
You can have all you want, Danny.
Angel was talking about relationships, and sounds kind of cliche, but this is what I've got from this business. The money comes and goes, but the relationships that you create will last a lifetime. That's it.
True. True.
Yeah.
True. Especially if you keep buying lunch, Danny. I'm all in.
Yeah, it's just expensive for you to get out there.
Yeah.
Izzy.
You know,
Can I-
maybe next time you fly from San Francisco, I can meet you there because that's closer.
I will be. Ironically, I've been there every 2 weeks, and now I'm in a little bit of a lull because I got some other stuff going on. I'll be traveling a little bit, Florida, stuff like that. But it'll start up again in January. First quarter, I'll be out there probably every 2 weeks.
We'll meet up.
Paul, I want to pick up on something that Jordan said, which was absolutely brilliant, my friend. I compliment you on that. You dropped a pearl that few people will probably pick up. And that's the fact that communication and basic skills are what build this business. It never changes. It is exactly the same business as it was when I started 40 years ago, but certain modalities have changed. And you've got a bunch of people out there that are espousing, you know, these secret funnels and these unique techniques to get you contact. And it's a bunch of hokum, guys, bunch of nonsense. When you learn to communicate your story clearly, when you learn how to get that down to a few seconds in a relatable format, when you learn how to empathize with the people that you're talking about, and you get that dollar bill off of their forehead and you put their heart inside of yours, those are the key secrets to making this business work. Everyone that I've ever met over the 40-year career that chased the check and got it, lost it, because it wasn't about the people and it wasn't about mastering skill sets. Jordan, you're the kind of person that I love to see in your age understanding that, because 40 years ago, Dr. Forrest Shackley, who started Shackley, sat me down, and that's exactly what he said. Master the skills, read how to win friends and influence people, and forget the nonsense. Just be real, be honest, be transparent, and people will follow you. Compliments to you, my man, and compliments to all of you for putting a group like this. I talked to a lot of leaders in a lot of companies. The culture that you've embedded in here is freaking phenomenal. I'm taking this back to my teams, and I'm telling them, you got to get your butt in here quietly. Don't let anybody know, but just learn. This is a rock solid group. I love you people. I'm back next week. And I have my notepad ready.
Thank you, Izzy. That was gold. Appreciate that.
Now you're good, man. You really are good. You got it
I
down.
told
Good
you
for
guys, I'm telling you, there's strength in numbers. I'm telling you. Okay, guys. It has been a great night. We only went 5 minutes over, 6 minutes over, so that's really nothing. Love you all. Thank you again. Thank you, these industry superstars, for coming in and supporting us. Appreciate it. And if anybody needs my link, just let me know. I'll be glad to send you my sign-up link. And no, I'm kidding. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great night. We will see you Wednesday for an opportunity call. I will be up in Boston on Thursday, back on Friday, and then don't forget November 3rd through the 5th, we're in Florida for the distributor-led event in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, start getting into there. We still, there's still plenty of seats left. Okay, is that it? Did we cover everything? Good night. Love you. Bye.
Good night, guys. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Bye.